All right, Farmer Chris, we are back, season 5, episode flip flop is what we're going to call it.
Yeah.
we filmed these backwards. We got a podcast. I can't even speak anymore. Got a podcast coming with Farmer Grace. That'll be up next after this one. Spoiler alert, we already filmed it. It's awesome, so we'll have to stick around for that. But we got a 2-for-1.
Yeah, Gavin come along.
Yeah, do you know who Gavin is?
I've seen him on TikTok.
I ain't got a damn clue.
Yeah, really.
You farm popcorn?
I do farm popcorn.
Hey, got that much going for me.
Yeah.
I know 3 things. He keeps pretty good company.
Yep.
He started farming with 6 acres, and he's got long hair.
You got long hair,
That's
huh?
pretty much.
Got the luscious.
Curly
The locks.
Grace likes them, so I just don't cut them off.
Oh, young love. We'll go with that. So, all right. Well, first off, thanks for being here.
Yeah,
I appreciate you tagging along. Appreciate you sitting in on Grace's. That was a huge help. And I'm flying blind here because I don't watch a whole lot of TikTok. I've seen you from time to time. I don't know a whole lot about you at all. So we're going to try to introduce you to a whole new audience here. So
Sounds good.
yeah, let's start off with a little fun backstory, and then I think you two are going to end up comparing some notes here.
Oh,
for
yeah?
us.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, you're a little ways from home here, ain't you? We're here in southern Indiana, though.
Yeah, to right here is probably 5.5 or so. Yep, I'm from Northeast Missouri.
You call Northeast Missouri home?
Yep.
That's north of Hannibal or somewhere up in there?
Just actually, I live southwest of Hannibal.
Do you?
But we farm clear straight north of Hannibal, up
Do
and
you?
down Highway 61.
Yep. Graduated high school, I assume?
Graduated high school in 2016.
He's from Missouri, not Kentucky.
Well,
I had to get one in there. I'm sorry.
Went off to University of Missouri, which is just under an hour
you
from
was told
home.
the college is the only way to survive in life.
Yeah,
Man.
I figured, well, no one in my family farmed, but I wanted to be a farmer, so I figured my best shot at that was going and getting an ag degree and then working a corporate job for 20 years, banking some money, and then buying a farm to retire and hobby farm on.
So just a generic answer, like what was the family business? Were you factory workers or was it?
Yep, so in our area, there's a lot of brick plants, because the type of clay that we live on top of is in 2 places in the world, some obscure place in China and Audrain County, Missouri.
Really?
So Grandpa worked in the brick plant after World War II. Dad worked in the brick plant his whole life. My older brother, he worked in the brick plant for a while. That was just what everyone did around there. That was our industry.
And that was brick only then?
Yep, brick, and Mom's a nurse, LPN nurse.
Just get off subject here. We had canned clay here in the county, so they made clay pipes.
Gotcha.
And it had since closed down, but
Yeah, it's a dying industry around us, but yeah, fire brick. There's still 1 or 2, but man, there probably was almost a dozen back in the day.
there's not a lot of brick homes being built anymore, is there? No.
Farmer Chris, that's getting to a whole other podcast about why. But
Yeah.
no, you're exactly right. So where's the love for farming come from? Since you didn't really have farming as a background.
Yeah, so even though Mom and Dad weren't farmers or have anything to do with farming, we grew up in the country. And when I was a kid, and even still to almost today, but definitely when I was a kid, there wasn't a bunch of large farms yet around us. It was still the dad who farmed with his son or the dad who farmed with his dad, and they would have 500 or 600 acres or 700-800 acres. So when I'd get out of school or out of the babysitter or anything, I'd just go hop in their buddy seat. So I was riding with 6 or 7 guys locally who all had a couple hundred acres and farmed, and their wives had jobs in town. And I just loved it. I mean, as a
Just to hang
kid,
out with 'em.
dirt, diesel smoke. I mean, but then as I got older, it was that love for agronomy of figuring out what makes a plant work, you know, and then the business side of things. But I just ate it up.
I just think you said something that's so true, and you may not even realize you said it. Everybody always asks you, like, how do you get involved with something you know nothing about? Get yourself in the middle of it one way or another.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, if you're that passionate about it, you will do exactly what you just did. If you knock on enough tractor doors, somebody will let you ride. You know what I mean? Like, that's,
Did you have any 4-H or FFA at all through school? Or
I was in FFA in high school.
Was it?
We were
Yeah.
in 4-H for like a week when I was a kid. But
Okay.
Mom and Dad rent their house, so there really was nowhere for us to put animals.
Yep.
So I couldn't have animals. But man, when I'd get out of school, my mom would be calling these guys, and none of them even had sons that farm. So I was like their little son that came and rode in the cab.
Yeah,
Or
there
if
you
they
go.
did have sons, their sons and daughters didn't care about farming. So I was like this little neighbor kid
You
who
were,
loved what they did.
You were free help.
I was free help.
That's called
I don't
neighbor.
want to boast your bubble, but being free help is how you gain your experience, because that was probably some of the best education you got.
Oh, yes, yes. So once I got into high school and got my license, I started working for guys. And, I'd work for one guy through the school year, and maybe another one needed help in the summer. So I was gleaning all of this knowledge from multiple operations and not thinking just, this is how I have to do it because this is how Dad and Grandpa did it. There was none of that. It was
powerful knowledge.
It was all knowledge from all these different places. And even through college, there was a farm that I worked for in college because he lived close to college campus.
Yeah.
So I worked for him too. All their operations are a little bit different, but I learned something from all of them.
Yeah, that's that is awesome, because we talk about this all the time. Everybody does stuff good, everybody does bad, everybody does stuff different, but I don't mean it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
So the more places you can pull information from, the better you're going to set yourself
for
up
your
for
area,
success.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the way you farm Missouri ain't the way she farms in Kentucky.
No,
And
very
the way
different.
she farms in Kentucky ain't the way I farm 20 miles away. So it's every operation is different. And
I try to be smart and just not farm.
I'm starting to realize it's pretty hard to make money at farming most years. Like the past couple years have been great, but historically that's not been how it works.
Yeah. I tell Chris all the time, we got a few podcasts about just the business of farming. I tell Chris, the more I learn about it, the more I am glad that I move dirt and don't plant stuff in it.
Yeah.
Because it is tough. It is tough.
So after college, you went right into farming, or did you have or a job off another job, or?
Yeah, so as a freshman in college when I was 19, I got the chance to rent that 6 acres. So one of the farmers I was working for at the time, I used his equipment. I didn't even get it for free though. It was exchange of labor, so it still came out of my paycheck, but I got the chance to use the equipment, which was
Got to start somewhere.
Yes, and then the year after that, I made Craigslist and Facebook ads to get ground. And this one guy off Craigslist, and I said, I'm a young guy. I have no proof I can even do this. I just really want to. And he took a shot on me. I still farm that 40 acres till today. Picked up a piece. There was a guy in the local bar and grill, and he asked the bartender, do you know any young guys? I got a deer hunt on it, but I need a farmer. And then he asked the guy sitting beside him, and they both said my name. And he says, well, if I ask 2 different people and they both give me the same guy, maybe we'll try it out. So that's been great. Just growing like that a little bit at a time.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is, not to get too far off base here, but that's kind of how you got started. Farming what other people didn't want to farm.
And we, Dad had all farm income. Him and Mom worked off farm. So in 1995, we farmed like 20 acres of corn and 12 cows, And then we ran our first farm in 1995. We've still got it today.
Yeah.
9-acre patch. It's changed owners 6 times. But we just stay with it, It's just,
I've got one farm. My spring check will go to one guy and the fall check will go to another because it just switches all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
But I don't have the money to buy it, but these deer hunters from the city do, so I'll just keep giving them a rent check.
Well, as long as they don't plant houses on it,
Yeah.
you'll be in pretty good shape. That's fortunately, what we farm around here is flood ground, so they can't plant houses on it.
I see.
That helps a little bit, but no, man, that is I admire that. That is like
Thank you.
awesome. How, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it ain't worth shit, but that's how it should be done. Is start small, build your way up, put your heart and soul into it, have the sweat equity into it, and I guarantee you, not one time you thought anybody owed you anything. That's what I think a lot of people go sideways, is they think they're entitled to something.
Yes.
Or they think they're supposed to be rewarded more than what they are for the effort they put forward.
That'll get you really bad. Those guys I was telling you about that I would ride with as a kid, they're all getting to retirement age. Some of them have retired already, some of them haven't. And the guys that I rode with my entire childhood, I won't get a single one of those acres. All my acres have came from other places.
That's funny.
Because there's other neighbors that are generations deep that they're also close with, and those guys are damn good farmers.
Yep.
And they've just had that relationship longer, and they're right there next to it. But I don't hate them for me not getting to farm it. I've learned so much from them through my life, but I don't expect it just because I'm me.
Yeah.
My ground comes from, it's weird because you can rent ground 50 miles from home, but can't find anything close. And then other guys will come from 50 miles away and they'll rent stuff right next to you. It's like, how about we just trade? Yeah.
So you get out to 50 miles away, or?
That's the closest field to my house is like 9 miles away. But as I've grown, that's the reality of it. If I want the ground, I got to travel for it because it's hard to come by.
Yep.
But we go, 90 miles north and 60 south. And as I pick up the better ground around home and further north, I drop that rougher ground to the south that I started on, but it's just inefficient, small fields.
He might have you beat on travel.
He does. Oh, for sure.
I need to get a low boy. We rode everything.
Our operation's pretty fortunate. We go about 20 miles north and 20 miles south. 95% of my acres is in one county and on the east half of the county. So,
if it's anything like the roads we came on, that feels like 100 miles.
It can be challenging.
Yeah, we know.
You take up over some of these hills and narrow roads, and you've got a combine with duals 18 foot wide. I mean, it's there's some pucker moments a couple times you meet somebody.
It's not unusual to see Farmer Chris taking guardrails off bridges to get from one field to another.
Gosh.
We've got 3 bridges we got to take guardrail off to get across.
Dang. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But so, did you start off with popcorn then? Because according to your TikTok, you're Mr. Popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn came the second year I farmed.
Okay.
I had that 6 acres that was in soybeans the first year. The second year we put that 6 acres in popcorn and then another patch. And at the time, corn and bean prices were in the tank.
Yep.
And I figured if I'm going to farm and want to make a go of this, I better find a crop with a little more margin.
Some premium too.
Yes, that I can name the price on. And sweet corn would have worked, but I'm in college full time and it's only good for about a week. Well, I can't sell all of my crop in a week, but popcorn, you throw that in a bin or a bag and it lasts a year. I figured I could sell that in between classes. So I completely I threw 15 acres of popcorn out there. I had no clue if it was going to work. I had nowhere to go with it if it didn't work. And just kind of bet it all and started walking into grocery stores in between college classes and making phone calls and trying to figure out packaging and nutrition facts and labeling. And then once I had that crop, started selling it. We ship to all 50 states now.
Really?
Grace packages it every time she's in Missouri, and we ship it out, take it to the local post office.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is.
So what, just to back you up here a little bit, I mean, acquiring ground is one thing, but there's another thing I know, farm equipment is not cheap.
No, it's not.
So, and I'm guaranteeing you're not out there with a little bitty old stick pushing these kernels in the ground. And you're probably not out there with a wagon, hand shucking this popcorn. So, like the other part of the business plan had to be acquiring ground was one thing. I'm assuming you rent most of your ground. But you also have to have the equipment. So how did you start building up the equipment and getting yourself into position to take on more acres?
Yes. So as far as equipment goes, I started off with a 1066 Farmall. I bought
those good tractors.
man, and it's repainted now and real nice, and a $500 6-row planter. And thankfully, shout out to inflation and COVID. As I was upgrading equipment, it seemed like I could buy something, run it for a year, sell it for more than I bought it for, and jump into the next big thing. So just riding that wave allowed me to acquire equipment to keep up with my acres. Now, I wouldn't, if a guy was asking me right now how to start a farm, I couldn't tell him do it the same way I did it, because that was just the period I was in. You could do that. But now it's totally different, because you buy something, it's dropping in value every day. But I rode that wave
I think
up.
the lesson to learn there is you got to understand the market and the value and take advantage of what situation there is available to you. Because right now you could buy cheap and maybe fix it up a little bit and get some money back out of it. It's the opposite of what you were doing. But no, that's pretty
Now, if you
cool.
listen to Precision Planting, they're going to tell you that 6-row planter didn't plant very good, but obviously it done all right.
Well, it was a case cycle, and it didn't plant very good. I'm a lot bigger fan of the John Deere row units, the Max Emerge.
Those were good planters back in the days, the 7200s and 1750s.
See, you're talking farm language. You might as well speak in Spanish over there.
We pulled a 6-row 30-inch John Deere planter
I
for
got
years.
a 6-shank ripper. Does that count for you?
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
No, you're fine.
But so with the so did you have like a legit business plan, or was it just kind of make it up as you go?
I mean, I'd been around farming enough. I knew how it worked, and I'd wrote a business plan out, and I started a line of credit with the bank. And after the first year, the first line of credit I had for inputs was like $5,000, and I was scared to death of that amount. It wasn't. Now it doesn't seem like anything. A set of tires is that much. And I asked my banker at the end of the year, I'm like, what would you have done? Like, how did you take a shot on me? He's like, it's $5,000. If you didn't pay it back, big whoop. We
Yeah.
could write that off.
Yeah.
He said it was more a test of character to see how you would handle it.
So you must have a local bank.
Yeah, I work with a bank that's pretty good.
Are you with the same bank today?
Different bank now.
Different bank, yeah.
Yep.
Yep, for sure. It's
Them local relationships at the bank have.
Yeah. But they were so instrumental in helping me get started.
well, you had a better experience than I did. So, 2000, I bought 4 bred heifers, borrowed $4,000 on a 1-year note. A year later, I sold 4 calves off those 4 heifers and got $2,000. Paid $2,000. I said, I want to write another 1-year note for the other $2,000. She looked at me and said, if you bought 4 and sold 4, how are you going to pay off the other $2,000? I said, well, they multiply with, you know, so
Nature.
nature. So yeah, that was my first ag loan experience there. So
Nature will get you every time.
My very first ag loan was, the first time I borrowed money was to build a chicken coop in high school as an FFA project because they were running and it was just like, honestly, I think it was a better thing for them because then they got to work with young guys for the first time, young guys and gals. But it was like a 0% and you build your FFA project with
really?
us and then pay it back once you sell your FFA project. That was the first time I ever borrowed money, was for that.
that's cool.
I think, one thing just mentioning this too is, and I don't, Chris, you can jump in here and agree or disagree with this, but not being afraid to network. I know you're big into the networking and using whatever resource. Don't be ashamed to use whatever resources available to you. And if you got to help somebody else to help yourself, that's not always a bad thing either.
Nope.
Yeah. My dad doesn't farm, but one thing he taught me was never be afraid to strike up a conversation with a stranger or shake a new hand and just talk to people because you have no clue where that might lead down the road.
Yeah, well, that's just it, because the most random person you ever talk to might end up being the most valuable person you ever met. There's a lot
down
of
the
truth
road,
to
it
that.
might come around and help you for sure.
A lot of truth to that for sure. So, boy,
Something not right, huh?
no.
Sidetracked on podcasts.
Sorry. Snap back into it. So as time went on, like, were you, the more you started farming, or was the more you were committed to it? Like, you were more convinced that was the job for you?
That's the only job I've ever wanted. I mean, my mom has pictures of me standing on my tippy toes looking out the kitchen window when I was like 3 at the neighbor's farm equipment. So like, that's the only thing I've ever wanted to do. It was just figuring out the path to get to that.
As from an outsider, so I'm the only one sitting at this table that's not a farmer, so I'm the loser. But from an outsider looking in, it amazes me how committed farmers are to farming. Like, you guys can bleed money and face bankruptcy, losing the farm, and you're like, I'm farming next year.
Yeah.
like it's not even a question.
I was talking about that with someone else, and then even Grace, and like, I'm brainstorming ideas to bring in more money so I can farm through this downturn, because the ag economy is just junk right now, and it's not like I'm killing it either. Like, it sucks for me too. But I'm thinking of ways I can make money so I keep the farm going. It's like, that's pretty damn backwards. That is not good business at all.
Yeah.
Well, so we just did a whole podcast about the business of farming, I guess is what it was called. And one thing that came up a lot, and this is a perfect time to talk about it, is multiple generational farms in a downturn ag economy versus first generation farms in a downturn ag economy. Or maybe we should go with well-managed farms versus startup farms. Because a lot of guys are having, and I'm out of this conversation, I'm not a farmer, but a lot of guys are having a lot of different experiences right now. It's like, some of these guys see blood in the water, and they're like, oh, we can take advantage of so-and-so, this, and the other, and then the other guys are in survival mode, and some guys ain't got a choice what they're going to do.
I think where I see the first generation, eighth generation, we're all kind of taking downturns, I guess you would say. So we need to loan out some short-term debt.
Term it out, spread it out so you can eat it a little easier.
So that's where I see the long-term. They've got a lot more equity built up. They can.
Yep.
And Grace, you might say I'm stupid and wrong, but when you ain't got no equity, you don't own much ground. We own very limited equipment. Enough to get by. It's hard to term out that working capital to keep going.
It's a long-term game of who can just ride out the highs and lows, and it's going to be a show of who's been able to save money the past couple years to take advantage of the opportunities, and they well deserve to take advantage of the opportunities because they've been patient and waiting for it. Reality is, as a young guy with no land equity, I can't go term out. I can't spread out all my debt over another quarter section because I don't have that quarter section. So if it stays bad for half a decade or we have an 80 situation, I'm waving the white flag first. Just not because I want to. That's the reality of the situation. I can't do anything about it, which is really going to suck. I don't think it's going to come to that. I mean, I'm not even planning for that. But if things in the market happen that we can't control, I just have to accept the fact that I don't have $5 million of land that I can go cash out on.
Well, I'm gonna go down the big rabbit hole again.
Oh boy.
All these government subsidies are gonna keep us going, though, ain't they?
Oh, you're going there.
They are going to continue to prop it up.
Chris is going for the comments.
And I am someone who will benefit from that, because I need that money. But I'm not so sure that long term that's a positive thing.
Yes.
Even though if we say we don't want them, it's going to hurt me the most. I'm still not sure it's a good thing.
Well, was it the one person I heard it say was Brian Brown? Even if you don't want him, he still has to take him because everybody else is.
Exactly.
All your neighbors is taking
you gotta keep up with the Joneses, I guess, is the best way to.
Yes, but I think it'll lead to longer term pain because it's going to artificially prop up something, and it's not even going to prop up the farmer. That money is going right to the farmer and then right back out to the seed company, the chemical company, the landlord who sees you getting all of this free money. It's going to jack up rent, maybe not jack up, but keep it inflated where it shouldn't be.
I agree.
I don't know that long term it will benefit the farmer at all.
The best way I know to describe it is farming is a big monster and you just fed it a small snack.
I like that. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
To keep it happy for a while. But I mean, from an outsider looking in, I am truly the outsider on this one. I don't know how.
Yes, you are.
But from an outsider looking in, understanding the business of farming, I need you guys here next year. So if that's what it takes to keep you around for another year, I'm okay with it. But what I don't need is you guys to be dependent on it.
Yes.
But the problem is once you give something, it's hard to take it back.
You get used to it.
So how does that play into everything? I guess it's supposed to be about Gavin, and we're on the business of farming again.
We can take it any direction you guys want to.
So are you still?
No, I like the conversation.
Are you still producing all popcorn now, or?
So popcorn is a very small percentage. In this past year, I've got a warehouse full of it. I didn't even grow any last year because I had enough to get me through.
Yep.
But this spring we'll plant 40 acres again, and I might get into where we do 40 acres or 50 acres every other year. I grow enough to last 2 years because it is pretty shelf stable. But as a whole of my farming operation, it is a very small percentage of my total acres.
So what's the other crops you're raising out there?
Majority corn and soybeans, a couple hundred acres of winter wheat, and then double crop beans. But that
you still get double crop beans up there, though?
Yes, and actually for the first time we can insure them. As of 2 years ago, I think,
we
were never able to insure double crops north of I-70, but now we can.
That's good. And when you say corn, you're just yellow field grade corn?
Yes. Yeah. Yep, we've got a lot of ethanol plants close by, and then we can hit the river at St. Louis, and it all goes down the Mississippi. So,
what kind of distance from your facility to St. Louis?
If traffic's decent, you can get there in an hour and a half. It depends on what time you leave.
Yeah, so
you got to leave at the right time in the morning.
60 miles or whatever.
Yeah.
I've made some trips up through. I was the worst. There's like an elevator every 7 miles. And
they got a lot of corn.
Gravity wagons running everywhere, But even somewhere in Missouri, I've seen that going up through there. So they've got a nice gravel shoulder on the side, and tractors and gravity wagons running everywhere up through there. So
where do you haul to?
All over. We're ADM, Rockport ADM, Evansville ADM, Mount Vernon, Viterra, Owensboro Grain, Superior Ag. I mean, that 1 year we dumped 7 elevators in 1 year.
Dang.
Then even CGB in downtown Louisville, we've took some too.
That's how it is for us, just because the operation's so spread out. Like there's sometimes when I get up north, we can hit the river at Canton, Missouri, and that's a 6 mile trip. So even though it's a long drive to the field, to the elevator is 6 miles. So we dumped 7 or 8 places this fall.
We're chasing basis premiums for certain products. CGB at Mount Vernon is the bean processing plant, so they've got some nice premiums, basis premiums, but we're seeing like the trucks early morning there
Sure.
while the dew's on, and then come back, and then we'll run to ADM close while the combine's running.
What percentage of your crop can you hold on farm?
That's where I was at my next question. You're a good co-host.
We can hold about 10% at the most. Maybe.
10%?
Yeah. We got one 70,000 bushel bin,
Gotcha.
and we keep it stacked full of white corn pretty well. So
I see.
So do you have grain storage?
That's the other thing that's working against me as a young guy is that, the shop space, the grain storage, and that all comes with time, but you have to build it slowly. I rent 4 12,000 bushel bins. Every one of those gets a different seed bean variety because I grow 4 seed bean varieties.
Really?
But all of the corn goes right to town.
Yeah.
So unless I invest in a big grain bin for corn or buy a grain bagger, that really slows harvest down.
So do you got your own truck running for that, or you got custom trucks hauling, or?
I've got 3 or 4 of my own semis, but we only have 1 hopper bottom. I've got an end dump, but we don't use it much. If we get where we really need help, good corn, I'll hire another truck on.
He's got one badass grain cart.
Yeah.
Yeah. My grain cart driver, Shannon, he's damn good. Yep.
So I'm not even sure, do you have a lot of grain storage?
No, not really. We have a couple 7,500 bushel bins.
Bushel bins. So most of yours goes straight to market as well?
Pretty much.
I know I'm just seeing Chris's operation, and we own 500 acres here that we rent out, and we have grain storage here on site. I didn't realize how big of an advantage that was just for the timing and the speed of harvest, because you can keep going even you're not dependent on somebody else's schedule.
Yep.
I don't view on-farm storage personally as a marketing tool for, throw it into storage, sell it after the first of the year and grab some basis. I view it as this can make me faster at harvest so I can get on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's for sure faster harvest. And like for me, through the fall, the white corn has to go to Evansville, so that's 85 miles one way.
I see.
So my 2 trucks run from the field to the grain bin, and then we got custom haul trucks to haul out of our grain bin
Gotcha.
down there, and we can be dumping and loading out the same time, and
No
people driving
kidding.
by go, "What's going on?" But I need my truck back to the field now,
Yes.
See,
Yeah.
that's different for me because we're only like 15 miles from the elevator,
Yeah.
and most of the time I'm by myself anyway. So even if I was taking it to the bin, it really wouldn't
It's
save
just
me
as
any
fast
time.
to go,
Yeah.
to the elevator.
I'm fortunate enough. I've got Dad that drives a semi, and I've got one part-time hired hand that drives a semi. So
Gotcha.
I'm in the combine; they're driving the truck. So my brother is bouncing between the grain cart and.
And for your field size and acres, you got to be pretty damn efficient. That's impressive.
Oh yeah, we're
That's
moving
an
on.
understatement. You know what's even more impressive? He's went 3 years without having to call on Dirt Perfect towing and recovery because he was stuck.
I didn't pay Dirt Perfect to build any combine traps either.
So this is a little behind the scenes here, but whenever Chris calls and he's stuck in the field, he's got 2 options. I leave the camera at home and I send him a bill, or I bring the camera and I don't send a bill.
Camera rose. Yep.
That's his 2 options.
Oh man.
So yeah, it's the harvest is the biggest struggle, for the operation. I couldn't imagine spanning out 90 miles and trying to plan everything for the day and breakdowns and what tools and service trucks you need to get rolling and equipment moving. That's
I kind of nerd out on that. I like it. I feel like the guy like running the orchestra.
Oh, yeah.
Like making sure this happens here. Calling this guy over here to make sure that truck shows up at what time you need it. I like that part of it.
Yep.
How many acres you farm that far away?
Oh, you don't ask that question.
You
Well,
can't. It's fine. So, yeah.
All of them. All of them.
Me personally, I farm 1,700.
I created the cardinal sin.
I farm 1,700. My hired man, he's got 400. So he's been Jaron, he works for me, has been working for me for like 5 years, and I kicked him some of my marginal ground to get him going, because I really do believe we need more guys and girls that want to farm.
Yeah.
We need more farmers, not less. So
I guess that was where I was going with that question, was not fishing for a number, but the amount of acres you farm that far away, if that number keeps growing, you may not have as much fun conducting that orchestra. That's where I was going with that conversation.
Yeah.
Because
And
you're still in a manageable window, which is a good thing.
I wouldn't be too proud to hire help either, because there's lots of farmers that are over-equipped on equipment. There's a farmer I talk to a couple times a year, and he says, I'm not too proud to start calling in help. If it gets to be the middle of May, I'll call a planter in. Or if it gets to be Halloween, I'll start calling combines in. Because for the amount he's paying them, he's going to lose that if it stays out in the field.
Right.
So he's better off paying them to get that done.
There's, man, I think farmers around here got too much pride for that. Am I wrong?
You see it every once in a while. It's not very often you hire another farmer to custom hire.
I've always wondered that, because one guy will be done with the combine in the barn, the other guy's got 1,000-something acres to go.
Yeah, I think it changes the further you get west, because you get out into Kansas and
Well,
and
that's
that way.
that's a good point. That's what I was going to ask, because you get out there far enough west, and it's like they just start
They
harvesting.
don't even own equipment, you know. They just
Yeah.
catch the crew as it goes through.
Yeah, it's a mentality thing. What do you see over on your side of the river?
I mean,
Does David come over and help you?
we do help each other out, but
Well, I shouldn't say it like that, because everybody does help each other out, but it's less
Right.
common to hire your neighbor to do something for you.
right, yeah, we don't care.
Yeah.
We'll ask for help.
Yep.
Because I mean, it's most of the time just me and my dad, and he works full time in a factory. So a lot of the times it's just me.
Oh,
and if
wow.
I need help, I
Yeah.
don't care. I'll call somebody.
We finished up harvest Christmas Eve last
Christmas Eve.
Yep. So-
See, I'm a December guy too. I always
Yeah.
shoot for Thanksgiving. It always ends up being December.
We
I
ended
actually-
in December, I think 16th was our last day.
Actually, for us, our corn basis goes up pretty good for December, so I purposely just leave corn standing.
Yeah.
It don't bother me to shell December corn.
There's some people home they have to be done in like 6 weeks.
Yep.
Or it's like, and I always tried to be that way, because there's a guy I worked for in high school. It'd drive him nuts if we were done after Halloween. He had to be done by Halloween.
Really?
And I've just accepted the fact that I'm too spread out to be that efficient. It's going to happen. We're going to be in November.
So do you guys have that one farmer too? It has to be the first one to have seed in the ground no matter what?
Oh, yeah. And sometimes it's me.
I
Yeah.
was not expecting that answer.
The best beans I've ever had were like the very beginning of April.
Uh-huh.
And you could probably sneak them in some years in March. Yeah, if I can get out there, I will.
I was going to ask you that. Is the beans the first crop planted for you?
Preferably, yes.
That's where in the past 4 or 5 years, that's the trend we're seeing around here.
Yep.
Used to, you had to get that corn done, and beans can get done in June, and now
Almost flipped.
it's, we got to get the beans in the first week of April, and we have really good corn the last week of May yet, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting watching. I don't know. I work for a lot of different farmers, so it's just. Of course, I don't share stuff around, but it's just so cool kind of seeing how everybody has a different mindset and how people go about stuff different. And what one guy is completely worried about, the other guy don't care about, and what that guy cares about, the other guy don't worry about. And I don't know. It's just interesting.
You know, I think one of our biggest drags for harvest is we'll send the 2 trucks out in the morning, and they're traveling to go get dumped. And then I've got 2,500 head of hogs I walk every morning. My brother takes care of the 120 head of beef cows. And if there's a hiccup anywhere, or even on a normal day, we're not even headed to the field till 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. The time you get the livestock taken care of.
Yeah.
So.
See, I struggle with that too, but we're starting at 9:30 or 10, but it's because we're driving an hour and a half to get to the
there.
dang
Hey,
field.
that's yeah.
So even if we start at 7 with everyone else, we're already an hour and a half behind.
Yeah, behind.
Now, do you start with your farther fields and work home, or have you noticed a cycle like that? Or
It really depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the year, depends on what crops are ready. This year, how'd it work? Because of the way, it really follows what the planter did in the spring. And this year we were jumping around because of where it rained.
Yep.
So that's the one good thing about being spread out. There's always somewhere you can go do
Well,
something.
just what little I'm spread out, the rain through July and August you hit and miss, which
Yeah.
helps the crop, and then through harvest. So.
Yep. So this year we got beans in early, and they were an early maturing beans. So we got those out of the way first, so we could get the wheat on, and then we jumped around and got the rest of the beans. And then the corn was really good, so it took a while to trudge through it, but then we finished up with that.
We put more road miles on our combine this year,
Yeah.
jumping around. I mean, I've not road traveled as much as I did this last fall.
Yeah.
So somewhere in this mix, you thought you wanted to be social media too, I guess, or?
That kind of came about, like Grace, completely by accident. It wasn't like I woke up and said I want to do social media for a living.
I think that's why you're successful, though. I think the people that force it, like they purposely want to be famous on social media,
Doesn't
have the
work
hardest
out.
time to.
Yeah.
Because you're just like we were talking about with Grace's podcast.
It's not recorded yet.
Oh yeah, it's not recorded.
Yeah.
Just people are gonna love this one. That's why I love this podcast. I don't have to worry about stuff. But in the future podcast, Grace is going to say that. Well, I didn't know where I was going with this.
Yeah.
Oh, sponsorships
Yeah.
wanting you to purposely play stuff. They spot that like nobody's business.
Yep.
And if you go on social media wanting to make it big, they're going to
gonna
spot
see
that
it.
like it's nobody's business. So if you're just on there being yourself, having a good time, being your genuine self, I think you have the best chance of leapfrogging up into something.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're primarily TikTok in, correct? Or?
Well, my favorite one's Instagram, and that's the one I got started on. That was back in high school, so it would have been like 2014, 15, 16. I was not even farming yet. I strictly used Instagram as a tool to talk to other guys who were working for people at the time who wanted to farm. So I had this whole network of friends who wanted to be farmers and have become farmers, and it's fun watching their journey. But I followed lots of accounts that had started farming, and I took inspiration from them. So that social media to me has been my way of giving back to the younger men and women who want to farm. So it's basically like a yearbook of what I have gone through. So someone can go to my TikTok or Instagram or whatever, watch the highs and lows, because I tell both sides of it. It's not all positive, and hopefully they can take something from my journey and apply it to their own. And through that process, other people have come and tagged along. You know, there's people on TikTok that just think popcorn's cool and buy it from me because they like popcorn. They have nothing to do with farming. But it's focused on young guys and girls who want to become farmers. And that's how it's grown and how I hope it continues to grow.
So first off, we need to exchange some notes here because I suck on Instagram.
Okay.
And so we'll trade YouTube for Instagram. But what was the, so whenever you were doing all this social media, and I agree 100%, social media is awesome for networking because like Farmer Chris was saying, YouTube is probably the best, but all these social media platforms did a really good job of aligning like-minded people. But at some point in there, you had to have that epiphany or that realization that this might be more than just a networking platform.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't remember exactly when that switch happened, but at some point it did, because as I was talking about stuff, other equipment manufacturers reached out and wanted to work together. One of the first ones I worked with, and I still work with to this day and love, is Ag Leader. And I like that because I'm running older farm equipment, and Ag Leader fit. I will not work with a company that I wouldn't buy the product anyways.
Right.
You know, it has to be something I would want to have, and if it fits, it fits.
That's a great rule to have.
So Ag Leader's been a great fit because I buy a bunch of hodgepodge old used equipment, but I can put new technology in it.
It kind of sounds like the farming version of my excavating.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
So Ag Leader's been great, but there's been lots of companies that I have worked with and continue to work with.
We bought our first piece of Ag Leader last fall, so trying to get used to it.
Yep.
I decided against Ag Leader and went Trimble.
Well, the problem we've got is we've got some New Holland tractors. They run that old Trimble system. A sprayer running a Raven, and 2 tractors running John Deere. Nothing communicates or map shares. Like me and my brother were looking at what can we convert all these to a single platform. Ag Leader looked like it fit the situation. So.
I have never touched a Green Star screen or used anything John Deere, but lots of people have it and get along good with it. Personally, I dislike Raven. I've used them. I think they're cumbersome. It might be because I'm used to Ag Leader. I just don't understand the Raven side of things. I don't like Raven, but Ag Leader's been a good fit. One of the guys I worked for in college, the one who I got to use his equipment on my 6 acres, he had the old Easy Steer 500 with that knob on the wheel, and he didn't even have any technology. So I had to set it up in the tractor, program it, which was super easy. So that was my first thing that I used tech-wise.
We just got Raven because that was what was in the sprayer.
Yep, and that's how lots of people are.
And I wish we're debating on switching it over now. So for me, I think the Green Star, as far as doing your auto track and coming back into what we call an AB line, I mean, you can pull off and get maybe a quarter of the way around the turn and hit a button.
It'll lock in.
It'll lock in and just go straight.
Yeah.
Even the Trimble, I mean, you almost got to be within 3 foot before you hit that button, or it'll
Gotcha.
snake down through the field. So, and then the Trimble system in the New Holland, we started doing some verbal rate lime with our spreader, trying to upload prescriptions in there. That is a total disaster. Total disaster.
So what? Not to switch back away from what Chris was
Yeah,
talking
go
about, but so you started on Instagram, but you really had most of your success on TikTok. Is where it kind of really started taking off for you, right?
Yes. So I was on TikTok before it was cool. When people were still being made fun of for being on it is when I got on it because
I
of
was the one making fun.
because of
Now the truth comes out. We're getting into the good stuff now.
a guy on Instagram called Gary V, which you guys might have seen his stuff. Gary V was like all about getting on the newest thing as quick as you could, and since I was really enjoying Instagram, I was like, all right, well, I'll make an account, and it just went supersonic overnight. A couple videos went viral, and then I deleted it for a year and a half because it was such a time suck and I was wasting too much time. And if I wouldn't have deleted it for that year and a half, it's hard to tell where I would be on it.
Yeah.
Because since jumping back on it, it's only grown by another 50 or 60,000 followers, which is fine. Like I don't really nerd out on the amount of followers. It's the amount of engagement you have.
Yeah.
I would rather have fewer followers who are more
The
into what I'm
interaction.
in.
Yeah, because you're actually, we kind of discussed this. Let me rephrase that. We will discuss this in a future episode.
Yes.
But building that community
That's
is,
huge.
is super important and very valuable to a sponsor.
Yep.
For sure.
So my follower count on TikTok is almost stagnated, but the ones who are there, and even the ones coming from the For You page and everything else, are very ag specific.
Yeah, yeah. Which there's a lot of value to that, and there's a lot of just me in the excavating world. I've said this before. Like the way we do stuff in our area, I still learn a lot from guys that excavate in other parts of the country or other parts of the world. And I'm sure you guys, even from farming, everybody farms so different. Being open-minded on a social media platform, you can learn a lot of different stuff.
What was your initial thoughts, and it still can be, if TikTok's your main social media, what was you thinking there when this platform can be gone?
I probably would get a lot more work done if it was gone.
You get stuck with the screw on it?
Yes.
That's a pretty honest answer.
I mean, you think if it comes to reality, will you make a jump to another platform? Or
I think so. And a lot of the people that follow me on TikTok, ag is pretty damn small in the grand scheme of things. So a lot of people that follow me on there also know me on the other platforms. And half the spam pages on Facebook are stealing my TikTok videos anyways. So it'd be a pretty easy jump to go back to Facebook.
So is Instagram your second biggest following, or is it Facebook?
Instagram's my second biggest, but Instagram's my favorite one.
Yeah.
TikTok close second. I have a YouTube, but I mean, I'm a couple hundred subscribers, and I haven't posted on there in a long time.
Hey, don't
I've
discount
never
a
had
couple
Instagram,
hundred.
so I couldn't even tell you how it went.
This is the only guy I know that can gain thousands of subscribers and goes years without posting videos.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I hadn't posted a video for 2 years. I posted one right the first year, and I gained 4,000 subscribers.
Dang.
It's like, how did this thing blow up? This video's in the first 2 days had 35,000 views. I was
Dang.
like, where's these come from?
It's a great question,
Yeah.
Farmer Chris. I told him, you know how many people post daily hoping to get 500 views? He's
Yep.
over here just winging a video out with 40K, you know?
And I'm not even monetized. I'm trying to get remonetized again.
Yeah, he didn't post a video for so long, he got demonetized.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So, everybody, so I'm going to ask you this off topic question, but everybody wants to talk about, social media success or fame. There's the sponsors and there's the recognition and all this other stuff, but what other things do you get out of social media other than that?
I feel like I get more out of social media than what I give into it because I learned so much through it. I'm watching everybody else's stuff and making connections and new friends through it. Even if I didn't post my own stuff, I would still get a ton of value because I'm learning so much from everyone else.
No, I led you right down a path. I'm glad you went there because that is the cheapest college education you could probably get on social media. The only thing I tell everybody, is don't believe everything you see.
Yeah.
So you got to do a little bit of fact checking and have some common sense when you're getting your social media education. But if you find genuine guys that are good at what they do, or girls, or whatever, if you find anybody that's good at what they do on there, I don't even try to teach on there. And every time I do a meet and greet, half the people are like, we learned so much. I'm like, oh, I hope it was good.
Yeah.
I hope it worked. 'Cause,
Hope you fact checked.
yeah.
I catch myself a lot on YouTube looking for how to do stuff. You know, you can do anything on YouTube. I mean, if you just watch a video.
If YouTube University charged tuition, half the people would probably leave, but it'd be well worth it.
Yeah.
You know, it really would be. And I always tell everybody on social media, you just have to have an open mind. Is the thing to do. And it's an awesome tool, but it's got to be used correctly.
Yes.
To go from there. So, how has good or bad, indifferent? How has the social media presence influenced or affected your farming?
What do you mean by that? I guess give me a little more.
So, what would be different in your operation without social media?
Oh man, so much. Like that's the cool thing about social media is you get to hear what everyone else is doing. If I didn't have other people to bounce ideas off of or learn from or hear what they're doing and it's sped up the process of learning it on your own or just taking what your local agronomist gives you.
Right.
Yeah.
And not to bash local agronomists, but a lot of them are attached to a sales role where their income is based off of what they can sell you. So they're incentivized to push a certain thing at times. So if you're buying from the fertilizer guy who's also telling you how much to put on, what direction you think that's going to
That
go?
reminds me, we need to get Isaac on here. Sorry.
So being able to go and learn on your own and hear from other people firsthand what's worked for them and hasn't, and what all of that has made a big difference and probably saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars, really.
So you answered the exact way I was hoping you would answer.
You
Because
keep leading me into these.
They're reading each other.
I'm not a professional interviewer, but I'm getting better at this. So the outsider looking in probably for sure was going to say all the free equipment you get.
Bottom of the list.
Exactly. I agree 100%. Because what you said is the same thing anybody has access to.
Yep.
And that was the biggest difference maker to you, which I think is a very, very important little nugget to put out there for sure. Because, access to some equipment, some stuff like that, it's fun to showcase, it's fun to drive, but it's kind of short term. It's kind of flashy and it's gone.
Yes.
But that knowledge you get is there for forever.
As long as you can remember it.
Yeah, and on my side, on the excavating world, it's like, oh, it must be nice to get all that free equipment. Yeah, it is nice to sit in there and do it, but I still get paid for the same at the end of the job whether I use their equipment or my equipment.
Yep.
You know
Corn's
what I mean?
worth the same amount. Now, those companies, I love working with all the companies I work with, and they have amazing equipment, but that doesn't necessarily make my crop any better. It's the stuff you do outside of that equipment.
Not some of these guys, especially up in the Northeast, and I'm sure you've run into this a little bit before, they care more about the aesthetics of their equipment than they do anything else. It's got to be clean. It's got my sticker on this, that, and the other. And they see my old Ratty 120 out here, which is the most profitable machine. They're like, oh my God, you take that to the job? I'm like, buddy, my equipment don't do the talking. My work does. And to your point, the equipment don't do the talking, the yield does. You know what I
Once
mean?
that tractor and planter leave the field or combine leaves the field, you don't know what was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't hire me because I got a bunch of debt and a bunch of shiny paint. They hire me because they know I'm going to do a good job.
Yeah.
And that's the takeaway from that. So
It goes a little bit in farming though. There is that, what do they call that? Like highway appeal or whatever. Like the guys with the brand new equipment appear to be successful, so they might get a chance to rent a piece because from the outside looking in, they're the best farmer with the new equipment, so he must be doing something right.
just got a
But I
better-
think there's too much weight put on that.
yeah, they just got a better banker.
Yeah.
Or let me say that. They may not have as smart a banker.
Yes, yes.
Is a good way to put that. No, I'm glad you answered the way you did because I agree with you 100%. The knowledge that you can get, whether you're an influencer on social media or you're just an avid watcher, you got access to what you just said is your most valuable thing that
Yes.
changed your farm is just being exposed to it,
Yeah.
which is cool. So, what I don't know where I'm going from here, Chris.
Yeah, I
I was
don't
doing
know.
so good, leading
Yeah.
right where I want to, and now I'm
I mean, I was
gone.
going to feed up on him. We, for our operation, we struggle to buy new equipment. We just, we priced a new tractor, 410 horse New Holland. It's $540,000. And you can let somebody else have it for 2 years, and I can buy it for $300,000. I'm like, that 2 years ain't worth $240,000.
Yes.
You know, so
It just blows my mind because I can go buy a 20-ton excavator, which I think is more complicated
Yeah.
than a tractor for half the price.
yeah, that's we've had that talk before. The ag price, ag steel is
All I gotta say
way
is
more expensive,
tires must be expensive.
but they're not cheap. They're not cheap.
And I do worry about, because of my following, I get the opportunity to use equipment that I would not use if I
Otherwise.
didn't have the following. So it's open doors to allow me, and it's not like it's for free. There's work that goes on behind the scenes. You're moving a camera around a lot and showcasing this equipment off, and you want to give the company what you know their value. So you spend
want them to have return on investment.
yes, so you want to spend a lot of time on this content and show that your followers what's actually going on. But if I didn't have the social media following, I wouldn't have that equipment. I'd be running old equipment. So I wonder about that a lot.
I think that's in a lot of ways, that is the millennial farmer Welker farms debate. You know, a lot of guys watch Welkers because of the old Big Bud and the older
Yes.
equipment. And a lot of guys watch millennial because he's got the newer stuff. Is either one of them right or wrong? I don't think either one of them is. But I've had that same debate a little bit. We've talked about this before. Whenever I started on YouTube, the newest thing I had was a 20-year-old excavator. And I think, to your point, a lot of guys that see the older equipment is more attainable for them. They can see themselves in that same piece of equipment
Yeah.
and the same thing you are. Then you go and get the $800,000 combine out there, and they're like, I don't know if I can. You know, I'm that's a little too far in the future for me. So then the question is, and I think you've done a fairly decent job of it, is how do you find the happy medium of showcasing the new stuff, but the reality of it, the old stuff still gets the job done.
I think regardless of which direction you go, as long as it's true to yourself and you feel honest doing it, that's the right move. For me personally, and for Grace and I, their farm operates debt free. They're not getting a loan for it, and they're running older equipment. And me, I've struggled with it a lot. I think we're going to go back to running old equipment. I've listened to way too much Dave Ramsey this winter. and I started off with that 1066, and that wasn't but just a few years ago.
Yeah.
And we're going to go back to that, especially with this ag downturn. We're going to restore an old 8-row John Deere 7000
Really?
planter,
Cool.
and maybe some of that will end up online.
Yeah.
But I want to farm like that for a few more years. And I leased a 1-year-old gleaner to slam through 3,000 acres of crop this fall. But next year, with a few less acres, I still have my 2 older red ones. So we'll go back to running 2 25-year-old combines, and at least while we get through this trough.
Yep.
And then on the other side of it, hopefully start jumping into some newer stuff again.
I commend you 100%. I think that's I'm not, so me and Dave Ramsey, not that me and Dave Ramsey are friends, but 80% of what he says I agree with 100%. But there is the old saying, you got to have some money to make some money, and sometimes that involves some debt. But
It doesn't jive extremely well with the ag mentality.
no,
of,
but you got to take that mentality and apply it with common sense to your
Yes.
situation. But I'm the exact same way. If somebody comes to me and asks how to get started in the excavating business, I'm like, if you get started day one over your head, you're never going to get your head above water. Like, you know, of course, I'm a mechanic and mechanically inclined, so I'd go buy a piece of crap excavator, fix it up, use it for a couple of years, sell it for some money, buy a better one, and then just keep going. And I never owe money on more than one piece of equipment at a time.
Gotcha.
That's my thing. So if I buy a piece of equipment, I will not buy another piece until that one's paid off.
I like
I haven't
that.
been able to do that.
Me neither. But I strive towards that.
I know. It's
Well,
it's
yeah,
hard.
but so the other thing is too is to your guys' point, I've been in business 20 years. I've only bought one piece of new equipment. That was mostly because of a sponsor deal. Before that, most of my equipment I buy would be 10, 15 years old. And I would rather have a lot, like to your 2 red machines you're talking about, I'd rather have access to 10 used pieces of equipment than one new piece of equipment.
Yep.
Because it opens up so many more options and it gives me so many more backup plans.
Yep.
And taxes are cheaper on the old stuff. Everything's cheaper on the old stuff, especially if you get parts for it. That's even cheaper,
As long as you can wrench on it.
as long as you can wrench on it. Yeah, which I enjoy that. So maybe that's where I'm different.
Depends on if I'm in a hurry or not.
Yeah.
If it's in the winter, I like it. If we're in the field broke down, I'm starting to throw wrenches.
Man, I don't want to jinx myself.
We
We
just-
just don't have a lot of
You know, our operation got caught in the vast acre growth. That, man, when you go from a 6-row, then you gotta go to an 8-row, then you need a 12-row, and I mean, now we gotta go from 100-horse tractor to a 300. Now we need 3 300-horse tractors just to get just, if we would just level out acres and maintain what we had, you know, that debt would disappear. But we're 100% investment, you know, trying to stay on that growth.
Debt is definitely a cuss word or a dirty word, but in a lot of ways, it's also a necessary evil.
Yeah.
I mean, but debt management's probably one of the most crucial things you can do in any operation.
I guess the question I got for both of you, social media and farming, is how do you balance recording and filming when Mother Nature is pushing you into the corner? Because I get to, man, I ain't got time. Rain's going to be here tomorrow at noon. It's hammer down, throw the camera in the corner and never pick it up. So.
Well, in the beginning, it was, I don't have time, I can't do that.
Yep.
And I wouldn't do it. And then, like we were talking about on the podcast coming after this, that we haven't recorded yet. At this point, it doesn't take up a lot of time anymore, where there's really not that the threat as I need to pick one and do it.
For me, I don't do a lot of the long form or YouTube.
Yep.
So the weather doesn't affect me. Hell, if anything, it helps me because it's something neat that people want to watch. But if I'm posting Instagram stories or TikToks, I can do that in 15 seconds while I'm riding in a tractor with auto steer.
And
so
post it up real
See,
quick.
that is so weird to me because I would much rather edit a long format video than put together a good 15-second video.
I can't sit there and do it after it's over.
Sounds like me and you'd be a good team. Like I'll do your long format stuff. You can do my short format stuff.
My other fear is I run the combine, so I'm stuck in a combine for 90 days straight. Who wants to see the combine run shelling corn in 18 different videos back to back?
Yeah, that is tough. That's one very fortunate thing we have with what we do is it's always something new every day.
New every day. Yeah.
And
Throw a log out there.
Yeah. Well, I've done that one year.
you don't need to tell him to throw it out there. He'll find. But so I'm going to use some of the bigger farming channels, and we can even throw Grace into this one. And there's a channel in Texas called Cowboy Car Crushing. And this guy's a freaking nutcake. He's probably listening to this and we love him. But he said something one day that could not be more true. And it rings true with anything you guys watch. Is he said, he had a comment one day that said, I come here for the car crushing, but I stayed for the cowboy. And I'm a firm believer that no matter what you're doing, and you're talking about repetition, and Zach Johnson is a prime example of this, is at some point they showed up because you're farming or they seen a cool video of you. They continue to keep watching because of you and your character. And if you keep being true to yourself and they like you, it don't matter if you're washing dishes. They're gonna watch it. They're gonna watch you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's always just stuck in the back of my head because even the TV shows you watch, you know, you don't really care what they're doing. You just like the character, right?
Yes.
So that's what whenever I hear something like what Chris said, well, who wants to watch me shell corn? Well, they don't want to necessarily want to watch shell corn. They want to hear what Chris has to think about shelling corn and putting his 2 cents on it.
Yeah.
And that's my counter argument to that.
This past week at the farm show, walking around with Grace, the amount of guys my age or a little bit older or younger that said, I love watching you, and I've been watching you since you started 6, 7, 8 years ago.
That's the biggest compliment you've given influencers. I've watched every video or I've been watching for years,
And they love tagging along and seeing the growth that comes, not necessarily in the size of the operation, but just like the growth of me and how, what direction the operation is going.
They get invested.
It's so humbling. It really is.
Yeah.
One of the neat things I've think with YouTube is we get warnings when comments come up. So you see us comment on the last video you did, and then a half hour later you see a comment on the video you just did. The same guy, person. He'll
watch all of
40 videos in a row and comment just ding, 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 ding. Well, he just found the channel.
Yeah, it's that is pretty damn cool too. But yeah, it's cool to kind of see. It's cool to kind of see it through somebody else's eyes too, because sometimes they see stuff you don't even see or realize or bring up, but they're not shy about telling you.
Oh no, there's so much confidence behind a keyboard. It's insane.
That's a good way to put it. Confidence behind a keyboard. That is for sure. So, I mean, overall, social media has been a positive for you, right? And
100-fold, yes.
I always encourage everybody to. Social media is such a powerful tool. Just use it responsibly. Whether you post, or whether you're the guy with the confidence on the keyboard, or if you're just there for entertainment or education, it is pretty wild what you can learn there. So,
and it compounds too. So to your point about staying consistent with it, that's where you see the real growth at.
Yeah. That's how I turned into the History Channel. You can jump on the bandwagon. This one here is not that. I mean, like I'm already talking about a podcast we haven't recorded yet. The podcast channel is not quite the History Channel. The main channel is.
No, we stay pretty current on it. So.
Yeah, it stays pretty much up to date. So
where's Gavin in the future?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't expect to be where I'm at a couple years ago, so it's hard to guess where I will be. I know I always want to keep farming, but just looking at how cyclical it is and realizing that for the first time this past year and a half, I'll probably need to add in something different. Well, I don't know what that is yet, whether that's to grow the skid loader work we do some forestry mulching, or add on some trucking. I really like lowboy stuff, and I'm always buying equipment from all these different states. So if I finally could get my own lowboy, I could probably save a few bucks and then do some work for other guys.
Serious question. Do you have a legit DOT number?
Not yet. So I'd have to get that.
Farm trucker over here.
I got that. I got the F on my license plate that lets me to go around the rules.
God.
For Indiana, we got to have DOT numbers if we want to go visit Kentucky.
Gotcha.
Or they will hammer us.
Thankfully, we can stay in Missouri and hit the river, unless you want to go to Bungie, but then that's just a mile the other
I don't
side
know
of
if
the
I'm
river.
mad at farm truckers or jealous of farm truckers or what I am.
And Missouri is Missouri is the Wild West of all 50 states, because there's so many rules that we don't have that all the other states do.
Yeah.
They're
Like
pretty laid
license
back.
plates on your truck.
Yeah, I don't need a license plate on the back of my truck, but I guess every other state does.
Kentucky don't have to have them on trailers.
On trailers?
Yeah.
I did not know that one.
See,
You also don't have to have taillights if you can see your truck lights.
this is true.
Yeah.
But you can't leave the state.
But we do anyway.
So I don't know what the next few years holds, other than continuing to expand on what we've already built. But what direction it goes from there, I don't know.
So do you think, I mean, obviously we'll agree we're in a little bit of a farming downturn right now, but do you think experiencing this farming downturn this early in your farming career is only going to make you stronger and smarter
Yes.
in the future?
Oh my gosh, yes.
So, I mean, trying to make a positive out of a negative, I guess, is, I mean, obviously you got to survive it first. You've been doing it long enough, you survived a couple of them.
You know, we heard that with Dad's story too. Dad kind of started farming late 70s, early 80s, and 83 he went through a drought. 100 bushel corn, 83 was good, and he raised 6 bushel corn.
Dang.
And paying 24% interest on his ground and equipment.
Yeah.
You know, and then things went good for him. Now he's seeing the downturn again.
And people think we have it rough nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Crazy.
I think not that I'm thankful, but it's good that I don't have kids yet, because I've talked to some guys who have hit that part of their life at my age, who have children, and man, they're stressed to the max because they have the same issues I have, but they've got little mouths to worry about. One thing about all entrepreneurs is finding the positive. Something you'd said right a couple minutes ago made me think of it, but finding that positive light, even though it might be a negative. A couple weeks ago, I was pushing snow for one of my buddies who has a landscaping company in St. Louis, and my skid loader broke down. It blew a giant line underneath the cab halfway through the night, pushing snow, and I was so angry. And I don't even get angry, and I was just angry. I'm like, what? Like, there goes all the money I was about to make. And he just laughs. He's like, well, it's better than it breaking down in the woods doing forestry mulch, and at least it happened on a parking lot where we can get to it with a tow truck.
Yeah.
And that made me stop and think. I'm like, this dude's right. Like, he has that mentality, and that's why he's successful in his landscaping business, because this stupid negative, he just flipped into a positive in 2 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, there's what you think's the end of the world is just a small speed bump. You know, it's a big deal right then and there. The next day, But to your point, some people dwell on that. They can't get past
Yes.
it.
And those are the ones who I think sadly just fail because they can't
Yeah.
see past that,
Yeah.
or weed themselves out, however you want to word it.
Yeah, no, and then those same people you're describing get hyper focused on stuff that don't matter, and that's a combination for a disaster as well. No, not that my advice is worth anything, but I can't disagree. Me and Chris have talked about this too. I can't disagree with diversifying a little bit.
Yep.
Just don't get in over your head. But Chris is diversified in the livestock, and I've diversified within the excavating business. I'm about 50% for farmers and 50% for residential work.
Gotcha.
And then, YouTube's kind of thrown a different wrench into my thing a little bit as far as getting paid to work in the shop and stuff like that. But it's always nice to have options.
Yeah.
And sometimes you wonder if it's worth keeping that option available to you, but 2 years from now, you're like, oh man,
Glad I
I'm glad
did
I
that.
kept,
Yeah.
And like Chris said, if you got trucks and you got a low boy and you get a legal DOT
And
number.
I get a legal DOT
and your
number.
CDLs,
And don't
gotta
run
do
farm
that.
plates
and
on.
don't run farm plates and keep the red fuel out of it.
Which, if I do get a low boy, I will have to go the route of getting DOT
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, CDLs. But yeah, well, I just called you the other day. Local trucking company down here called me, and they wanted $1,000 to take a trailer from Owensboro back to Troy.
I ain't
Which
that
is,
far.
yeah. And,
Dang.
and you're going to get those random opportunities, and especially if you got a low boy, and you're going to, man, I got a low boy, and I'm not for hire, and I get calls daily.
I'm afraid. See, I'm the kind of guy who's like, when opportunity comes, I can't say no to it, and I might get too
All right,
much opportunity.
Number one rule of business.
Saying no.
No is a very powerful word, and
Yeah.
it needs to be used because you need to go back on the channel and find the podcast about red flag customers, because
I'll go listen to that one.
I
Gra-
think
Grace wishes I would say no more whenever potential landlords call, because sometimes
Yeah.
it's a little bit out there, a smaller patch. Like, I just want a farm.
you guys as farmers, whenever it comes to land, you guys are like addicted to it or something.
Crazy. It is.
Saying.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy.
One of the first big jobs I did for Chris was a CRP. We pulled up, and it is literally 40 acres of woods. He said, "Yeah, we're gonna put beans here in the spring." I said, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, this is the best you can come up with these parts?
Boy, that was an odd transformation up there, wasn't it?
Yeah, so whenever he loads it into his field map and his little iPad up there, he's literally still farming the woods because
It's
it
just
has,
trees.
It's like climbing field view. There's combine going through trees.
Oh my gosh.
but it also showed me.
Oh, there's a pond. Watch out. It's not there no more.
Yeah, but it showed me that, he's seen the potential in that. It's turned into, what was that, 5 years ago now?
Yeah, it's 5
turned
years.
into a really nice farm.
Yeah.
And,
We have picked up some of the roughest, nastiest ground that just needs some work. A lot of stuff coming out of CRP ground for us around here that didn't get mowed the full 10 years, and we're looking at 5-inch saplings, in there now. So
That's probably been a key, without knowing too much about the specifics of your operation, that's been the key to your success, because I'm sure other people see you
Yeah.
cleaning up a farm and taking good care of it, and it leads to another farm down the road.
And it does, yeah. Even the banker the other day, we was riding around, and he goes, I see you adding these farms, adding the farms. You never lose one. What do you do? I said, well, you got to treat the land like it's your own,
Yep.
and the landowner's
That's-
family. You just, it ain't. I do it for two reasons. Like especially pulling up the combine, and either kids or grandkids are out in the yard watching you. And, man, just stop and pick them up, throw them in the combine.
Yeah.
One, I know where they're at if they're in the cab with me and not out
Sure.
in the field. That's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
But man, the family just act like their family and hop in and take care of the field like it's your own.
I'm biting my tongue over here so hard it's about ready to bleed. We're going to change subjects.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, you're
No.
fine. You know where I'm going.
So
with that.
your labor, you've got labor source out there, educated ag labor. You said you had one, but if you
Yeah.
had to get another one, you think it's available? Or?
No, I've been extremely blessed with having good help. Like lots of guys struggle with finding competent help that will show up on time. That has never been one of my struggles.
Is it local help or social media help?
Local. And I have people all the time that reach out that want to,
Yeah.
like, hey, let me come work for you. I don't know how that would work. You'd have to move here, find a house. I don't even know if you're a good worker. I just know you want to.
Yep.
Always get the people want to come help work for a day.
Yeah.
And you're like, the timing of that is like impossible. I had this one girl from Kentucky call time to time, wanted to run a bulldozer. I'm like, it might work, it might not.
So I've been very lucky there to always have great help around. Dad doesn't know anything about farming, but he'll go run and grab parts. He'll run and grab lunch. Jaren's been great. His brother runs the grain cart. Grace is around all the time to help. You know, that right there is worth $1 million.
Yeah, so like with knowledge and experience and willing to work.
I'd say that's my biggest is somebody educated with the technology now.
Yeah.
You know, we've got 2 planters and a sprayer running. We only got 2 guys that can run them. How do you 2 guys run 3 pieces and keep moving?
Well, for you guys in the farming world too, it seems difficult for me because you got like busy season and then you got like twiddling your thumb.
Nothing going on
Yeah.
season. Well, one thing I've done, I think it's helped me is like, you know how there's that, it's not really saying, but like the old man, like he wants to be the one in the combine. He can be the only one in the combine. He has to do it because he doesn't believe anyone else can do it like he can. I don't believe that at all. I want everybody around me to know how to run everything. So if I'm gone, they can do it. Like it got to the point where Jaren and Shannon, they can, if I have to come help Grace or hang out with Grace or we go to a farm show, they can run the combine, grain cart, all the semis, like they can do everything and I don't even have to be there. And hell, sometimes we'll just like, what do you want to run today?
Yeah.
You know, I want to plant. Okay, well, he gets thrown in the planter, I go do something else. So I want everybody to know how to do everything. That way there's never a moment where it comes to a stop because someone's missing.
Yeah. No, that's basically a fancy way of saying cross training, which I think is.
But some operations come to a grinding halt because like, you know, the owner has to be the one who plants or has to be the one who combines. That leads to a lot of stress too.
Yeah, I'm going to say I run the combine 97% of the time. And if I'm out for a day, John can hop in it and take off. Yeah. Now, am I still watching them? I don't know because we got climate field view and everything. So I could be in Texas on my phone, logged into the iPad watching him go. Like, all right, he's moving. He's doing right.
Oh, boy. Farmers are a different breed. That's the.
But then I plant all the corn, he plants all the beans, and then while we're on auto steer, we're watching each other go through the field.
That's how it works mostly with me and Jaren. He doesn't want he doesn't want anybody to bitch come harvest time about how the corn rows are planted. So he does beans because you can cut those anyway. But half the time I plant the corn and then he'll combine it. So then he gets to bitch at me because he says I did it wrong.
Yeah.
Yep, I talked about that. I said, you can't plant corn unless you've shelled it.
Yes.
And you can't rake hay unless you've baled hay because it can be difficult.
I've only harvested corn one time. I was like one full hopper full.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was good.
Yeah, he met me in the field. He hopped in there, rode the buddy seat, and I shelled one. And he hopped in there, and I said, "Here, you drive." He took off, and he wasn't 50 feet down. I just opened the door, stepped out, and took off.
Yeah.
He's by himself. I'm like, see ya.
So my joke is I plant tile and field carrots. That's what I can put the tile and the field carrots in with the best of them. I'll leave the corn and the beans to you guys.
Yep.
Hopefully everything stays there. Well, Gavin, man, we're running out of time here. We still got to get a podcast with Grace yet, so everybody's gonna get a kick out of these. Man, I sure appreciate you guys stopping by and doing this, and really cool hearing your story, man. That's I think you and I got a lot of similarities how you approach farming versus how I approach business, and it's served me well. So hopefully it'll serve you guys as well. We might have to do this again sometime. I thought there's a lot of stuff we haven't covered, but that's gonna have to wait for a whole nother season.
Yeah, it'll be next year.
All right, we're gonna wrap up the season with Farmer Grace episode.
That we definitely have not recorded
We
yet.
definitely have not recorded yet. This audience is used to the chaos, so we're in good shape. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Next year.
Later.